I'm going to give you now some advice to create diagrams. We have the nice site plan with all the textures. At least we need this. We need green areas, 1, pedestrian, 2, roads, 3, and buildings, 4. We might have more things, but I think at least we need these 4 use or these 4 textures. But now, so that would be the plan or the site plan with textures. But we need diagrams, and with those diagrams, when we're analyzing either buildings or small urban areas, so we need like 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 here, but at least we need 4 different diagrams. And if we have this, it's very easy. So on these diagrams, as you see, we don't have textures, we have just different colors. And what kind of diagrams we have? Okay, the first one, number 1, it's, well, this is in German, but I will try to translate it. It's Schwarz plan, which means that literally it's a black plan. And here we have just the footprint of the buildings. And here we have the Bestand and the Neubau, which are the existing and new buildings. So that would be the first. We're going to use these colors because those colors are nice. So we have this yellowish background, and then we have these 2 shades of blue. We have this light blue and dark blue, which is the existing and the new buildings. So if we are here, first we have to hide everything. I have a layer buildings, so I have all these buildings in one layer. Okay, because what I want now is to change the color of those buildings. First, I'm going to change the background color. So for the background, I'm going to select the light yellowish background. Okay, and then I want to select the buildings. So for the buildings, I need first to differentiate between the, well, by the way, this is a courtyard. Okay, I did it wrong because I selected this in this layer. I don't want to do that. I want to change the background color. There you go. And now I have the buildings here in a different layer, but just white. So I want to select the existing buildings. Existing buildings. I can select everything that is out of my area. And then if you click move, not in the background, but in the buildings layer. So we have selected just these buildings. And I can use a bluish color light like this. Let's see how it works. I'm going to create a new layer. So those are, let's say, existing buildings. And now in layer buildings, I'm going to select the new buildings that I have created. Okay, again, I select all the buildings now. And now I'm going to do, I want something darker like this. I create, well, I can use that layer. There you go. So with this, we have existing buildings and the new buildings that I have created here. Okay, so these are the buildings that I have designed in this I am working with this area there. So this is very simple. This is what we just have here, a difference between existing and buildings and the background. The second diagram, this is the Nutzungsplan, which is the uses. Okay, so here we have different uses. And we have the Flächen, which is because in some, can you see that here we have this, because we have two uses. We have a use in the first floor, on the ground floor, and then we have different uses. So that usually happens in residential areas. We can have some retail use or businesses in the ground floor, on the ground floor, and then we have as of first floor we have residential. We have dwellings or apartments or whatever. So this is what we have here. Okay, so that means that the color that we have around is blue. It's Wohnen, it's residential, and this is some business. Okay, so the red one, it's some business. Here, or retail shops. Here we have Bureau, which is office spaces. Gesundheit is healthcare. You can have some healthcare buildings. And Freizeit, it's this is what you call it? Recreational buildings, can be gyms or sports facilities or something recreational. Okay, so we have restaurants, residential, we have office, we have recreational buildings, and we have healthcare. And the thing is that in the areas where we have in the same building, we have two different uses, one use on the ground floor and then different uses on the first, second, third. We can have this criteria. Okay, so let's do it here. So that's why I don't want to, I'm going to work with these buildings highlight, or with this buildings layer. And now, or well, I can use this one. I want to highlight the residential buildings. If these are just, let's say that here we have residential buildings, and in this area I have buildings on the second and third floor, and I have some business on the ground floor. And this can be under uses, so we don't have a residential building here. Okay. Well, so that's quite easy. We can select this and this and this. Imagine that this is office buildings. So what we do need now, it's a color code. So we can use this same color code. Business is this orange. Don't select bright colors like this. Try to select colors that are mixed with gray. And now I do need another layer, which are the uses. Okay, so these buildings can be office buildings. Then I don't know if this is healthcare. Healthcare, I think it was like greenish, like this. Then we had some recreational buildings. I'm going to select. This. What's the color code for recreational? Okay, this. It's like a pink color. Like this one. And well, I have those. So let's say that some of those are recreational and some of those are an office. So select this. Okay. And these two buildings here, those are single family houses. So for the single family houses that don't have any other use on the ground floor, I can select all these. And what is the color code for residential? Okay, so it's the same bluish thing. To make it a little darker. So all these buildings are residential buildings. And now for those buildings there, they're residential, but we have like other business or commercial use on the ground floor. Okay, so I'm going to select this. And I'm going to use the same color for these residential buildings. But now I need like the idea that we have other use around it. Okay, so I have here this, and well, I'm going to show you something quite cool. Right click, and you can use stroke. Okay, when you have selected the buildings, you can select stroke. And here we have the width and the color. So what we are doing here is to draw a line, a contour line, following the footprint of the shape that we have selected. I don't know, it can be 10 or, yeah, let's create, let's say 10. And then let's change the color. What is the, well, here, I think we have done the other way around. So if we have recreational buildings around this, so we can use the same color for the recreational buildings. And then with 10 pixels, I think will be enough. Let's see what happens. Perfect. Okay, so in this case, we have recreational buildings on the ground floor, and then we have residential. It's a residential building with the ground floor with another use. Okay, and so that's it. Okay, so we have all these number 2. So that's we have the first diagram, the second diagram with uses. Then we have the third diagram, which is the green areas. So we have Öffentliche, which is the public green area, and those are private green areas. And this is an Öffentliche, it's a public pedestrian area. Okay, so we have a private and public. What does it mean, private and public? Well, we can say that everybody can walk in this green area, but for these areas here, those are private. Okay, so only people living in these houses can access this green area. So we can differentiate, and for example, if we have courtyard, that would be a private green area too. Okay, so let's go. Now we don't want to highlight the buildings, so we can hide that layer. What we do now is to differentiate the green areas. So I only highlight the green areas. And now I have to differentiate between public and private. So let's say that all this is public, this is private, this is going to be private. And well, if we have a green area here on that street, this is a public one. Okay. So let's do it here. If all this is a public green area, make sure that you are on this layer. And this is public too. Now move it. Okay, so we have selected only this. And now I hide this, and I want another layer with green areas. Okay, I have here existing buildings, green areas, and uses. So for the green areas, I'm going to use, if this is public green, I'm going to use something very light. And on this green area, I select the public green. And now if I want to select the private green, then I have to select all these. And remember that this is private green. So now I go to green areas. I have this one. Now in green areas, I make it a little darker. And I can select this as private green areas. What else? Here we have green, and here we have the pedestrian, public or private. Okay, here pedestrian. Everything is pedestrian. Well, if I had some sidewalks here, that could be pedestrian, private, but I think everything is like pedestrian, public. Okay, so I think I can select everything that is not a road. Or maybe I will activate this layer. Yeah, so if everything is pedestrian, okay, then I can select everything. And now I delete this. So I have selected everything, and now I have to deselect the green areas that I have here. Okay, I think I'm going to use another layer. I'm going to put it downwards. This is pedestrian. And now I'm going to select a color like this. And let's click here. Okay, that's good. Okay, so here we have green areas, public and private, and here we have pedestrian areas. In this case, I only have public pedestrian areas. And what else do we have here? We have paths. Yeah, I don't know what this means exactly, but anyway. So we have the black and white, or the existing and non-existing buildings, different uses. Here we have the use of the public space, and we're not going to do anything with this. This is urban gardening. Okay, so we understand what this is, but these are urban gardening hubs. Okay, I don't know what that means, but this is like a differentiation between different roads. Okay, so here we have pedestrian roads. This is in Europe. So in Europe, there's a path for buses, and another for cars. And then we have Parkmöglichkeiten. So those are parking lots. Okay, so here we have parking lots, roads, and something for the public transportation. I don't think we have anything about public transportation in Kim. So let's select the roads. Where are the roads? Well, by the way, if I have these two, now I can combine both. Select to the right click and merge layers. Now we have just one layer with green and pedestrian areas. And finally, I want the roads. Where are the roads? This one. Well, those are not roads, so there's a mistake here. So those are the roads, and here we have like parking lots. Well, we can leave something like that. Okay, I think we only have to remove this from here because those are buildings, they are not roads. So those are the roads, and we have parking lots. So somehow we can define parking lots here. So the lines, these are the parking lots. These are parking lots too. There are more parking lots here. But I think here we can differentiate between the public and the private. So those parking lots are only for people living here, and those parking lots are for anyone that can use them. Okay, so I'm going to add a new layer with lots. I'm going to select something grayish. And I'm going to select all these. like public parking lots, and those are private parking lots. So I can go to lines. And again, here in parking lots, those would be private parking lots. If you have more. Okay, so with this one, I have roads, public parking lots, and private parking lots. So I think that's it. The next step is to create a legend. So for the parking lots, we can have a legend here. Another color here. Okay. And finally, another color for the roads. I will make it lighter. Probably it's better to change the color of this as well. And now we have to add some text. We can do this with a PowerPoint. I think doing the adding the text with a PowerPoint is easier than using Photoshop. So let's do it with Photoshop. So that would be the legend for the parking lots. Then we can save a copy JPEG, and this is roads parking. Save. Here we have another legend, and so we can select the same. In these uses, I have this one. Then this one. Here, we need more. Here. Okay, if we need more uses, we can go this way. Oh, I think we need that one. Yes. We need this one here. Now remember that we can right selection, right click, stroke. We have 10, but for the color, I need to pick this color here. Now click OK. So that's a different use. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Well, I think we need another one for that. Anyway, we can create another legend here. And finally, for Right, this schematic uses, and now I can save a copy, JPEG, and these are uses. And what's next? Oh, the green areas. So this is layer, and here on green areas, I select this one, then that one. And finally, this. The problem is that we're gonna have the same. Yeah, we have the pedestrian here. So I'm going to this. Go. And now this one. Is the pedestrian area. And that's it. Then save it. Save a copy. JPEG. This is green. And finally, you have to do the same with the buildings. So if you don't activate the areas, and we do activate the existing buildings, and that's it. Well, you have to create the legend. Okay, so when you are preparing the PowerPoint presentation, we have different things. We have a render. It's not finished yet, but here you can find that rendered view, and we want to paste it into the PowerPoint presentation. So depending on the format, if we have a render here, usually those schematic views, the roads, well, the first one is always the buildings. Okay, so we have buildings here, and I want to put the 4 schematic views, buildings, then I would say the uses, then the green space, too big, too big, smaller. Smaller. and finally the roads and parking lots. So if we always have the same space, it will look nicer. Okay, so if you have schematic views like this, and here you have the big render view, probably the legend here won't be big enough, and probably you can have all the legend here. Okay, instead of having these squares, you can have the legend there. It will look nice. But well, this kind of presentation always works. So if you have a nice render view here, and then you have schematic views with roads, green and pedestrian areas, different uses of the buildings, and then just the difference between buildings and open space, well, that works. So in addition, you have to show me the beautiful site plan with the textures. Okay, if you activate layers with the textures, file, say copy. JPEG. Where is it? Here. Okay, so if you have this that fits as a site plan, here we should find another, so you can show us here something different. Okay, but this is a good presentation. You can have the legend here, you can have the render, schematic views, and then the site plan with textures.